Okay, in this video we will go over a higher order derivative, and in this particular problem we want to calculate the 37th derivative of this function here. And so if you want, you can pause the video here and attempt this problem. So for these types of problems, especially past the fifth derivative, there's probably going to be a pattern, because there's no way your teacher is going to ask you to calculate the 37th derivative if you have to calculate from 1 to 37. And so let's find a pattern. So the first derivative for sine 2x is simply going to be 2 cosine 2x. And so that's going to be like the chain rule. So the derivative of sine is cosine, and the derivative of the inside piece 2x would give us 2. So we would get 2 cosine 2x. And now we do it again. So the derivative of this would be negative 4 sine 2x, because the derivative of cosine is negative sine, and again the chain rule, so this becomes 2 times 2. And now we do it again. So the derivative of sine is cosine, the negative remains the same because it's already negative, and then you have 2 cubed, and then let's do it again. So the fourth derivative, so the derivative of cosine is negative sine, and that's why this negative cancels, and that's why we have 2 raised to the fourth sine 2x. And let's just do it one more time to make sure we see a pattern, because here we had sine 2x and here we have sine 2x. Let's just do it one more time to make sure we get something like this. So the derivative of sine would give us cosine, and then again we do the chain rule, and that's why this becomes 2 raised to the fifth. And so now let's think, what is the pattern? And we want to determine the 37th derivative. And I'll give you a hint. We need to think, what is the constant in the front? What's the pattern with this term? Next, how can we tell if it's going to be positive or negative? Is there a pattern? Next, how can we tell if it's going to be sine or cosine? Is there a pattern? And so if you want now, maybe try to come up with this answer. So constant in the front. I want to find the 37th derivative. So the first derivative had a 2, second had, 2 raised to 2, third had 2 raised to 3. And so the pattern will be for 2 raised to 37 for the 37th derivative. So whether it's positive or negative, there's also a pattern. If you notice, this is positive, negative, negative, positive. There is going to be a pattern. It's going to repeat, right? So one way we can think, we need to find the 37th derivative. I know that 4 times 9 is 36. It's not 37, but it's close. So the fourth, derivative is, positive. The 8th will also be positive. The 12th will also be positive. The 16th will also be positive. So I know up to 36 will be positive. And then I want to find 37. So essentially, I want to know the 5th number. And the 5th number will also be positive, because this number here is also positive. And so now we know 2 things. We know the constant in the front will be 2 raised to 37. And we also know that it will be positive. Now we need to determine if it's going to be sine or cosine. Same idea, every 4, repeats. So this term is sine. The 8th derivative will also be sine. The 12th derivative will also be sine. And so the 36th derivative will also be sine, but the 37th derivative will be cosine. And so now we have all the pieces. So the 37th derivative will be 2 raised to 37 cosine parentheses 2x. And that's all we need to do for this type of problem.